Finally, it rises.
Hey, it's ODB, the Lincoln Addict. We're going to take a look at this 1965 Lincoln Continental sedan that is on eBay currently. Now, for those that do not know, if you look at from 61 to 69, there were 342,392 Lincolns produced, right? So just under 350K. Believe it or not, the number one production for that run was in 1966 when the coupe was introduced, followed by 1967. We still had the coupe, you had the sedan, of course, and you had you did have a couple of limos in there, but with the sedan, the convertible, and the coupe, it kind of rounded out the lineup. Now, outside of 66 and 67, which I just mentioned, the 65 Lincoln really comes in number three for that time period with 40,230 units produced, right? So that's a pretty large number. And again, it comes in only only third behind 66 and 67, which ironically enough don't seem to get the love that they're due. 66, 67, obviously the change. But what I want to do is I want to take a look at the 65 right now. And just to be clear, there were 36,824 sedans that were produced for that model year. Now, what we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to jump in here and take a look at eBay. Okay, here we have it. So you can obviously go on eBay, type in 1965 Lincoln Continental, and this is what you're going to land on. There's a couple out there. I think this is the only sedan possibly that's for sale. Now, it has a buy it now price, which is something you don't often see, especially from these 60s Lincolns, because folks are looking to liquidate and get as much as they can for said vehicle. What we can tell is it's a maroon car. It has the vinyl top, the vinyl roof, if you will, which was first available in 1965. The thing that is disappointing about eBay is, although they do have these fields that you would enter the information in, which we do see the VIN number here, we see the mileage at 75,487. It just doesn't have the story written out like Bring a Trailer. So although I have no connection to Bring a Trailer, I do really enjoy their website because they kind of handhold and curate the information to place it into a well-rounded listing, if that makes sense. Okay, so we got very little information here, which is the VIN. Of course, it begins with a 5, so we know it's a 65. We know it's a sedan, and we can look at these last few digits here and see that it's the 31st or 31,358th created for that model year. So towards the end of that run, if you will. Now, although you can scroll down here and you can see the photos, it is easier, especially for this presentation, for me to click up here. It's going to expand it. If I can unclick that, it's going to expand it here, and then I can just kind of thumb through these images. Now, another thing about eBay is the images aren't always super clear. Of course, this is expanding them here. If I hit escape and scroll down here, I do want to show you this. A little bit better quality, but of course you've got a smaller image, and then you have to close each one. Just not as user friendly, in my opinion, as Bring a Trailer. So we're starting off with a rear, kind of a 3/4 shot here that we're seeing mostly the driver's side. My feedback to anybody that's listing a car is like, hey, make this the best presentation possible. And I do realize that the sellers of these cars aren't always, tech savvy and things like that. Maybe they're using their phone, maybe they're using their tablet, maybe they're using a computer. And I get that not everyone can, has the same skill set. But certainly, you want to start off with a photo that's going to kind of catch everybody's eye, whether that's the suicide door, coach doors open, or whatnot. But this is the first photo that we get. Again, we can see that it has the vinyl top. I know that's not everyone's favorite. It kind of is one of those things that some people like, some people don't. We can see it has the slimmer white wall tire, which is key, and then it has the 65 taillights, which has those, cages, if you will. We can see, of course, the 65 front turn signal here. Here is another shot that is in the vertical mode of a phone, it appears. And again, you're getting not a lot from this. We can see the maroon paint. We can kind of look at the bumpers and see that it doesn't appear that there's major damage or anything like that. Here we have a front three-quarter shot. Again, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on with it. It's hard to tell here if that can't be the full antenna, because that would be way too long, or the longest antenna I've ever seen. And I think it would be really ironic if that antenna was to here and then somehow this is in the background, like a tree or something. I think that's what it is. It can't just be me. That looks kind of... So you got the antenna that comes to here, and then this, in the photograph, it makes the antenna look very long. So definitely a little bit odd there. So we will go here. You've got a rear three-quarter shot. We can't even see where the license plate is at, but I do believe the listing, we can look back at that and see where it's at. I think it was in the Northeast. This is one of the better photos, believe it or not. Although it doesn't show us a lot, we see that it has a very nice trunk interior. We don't always see this from these Lincolns, certainly. And there's a guy, Jim Wallace, that lives in Florida. He makes and sells one of the nicer kits. But certainly, I wouldn't expect, from what we've seen so far, for the trunk to be so nice on this. This may or may not be something that would sway you into buying this car, but certainly it's nice to see the trunk looking good. What we can see here is the interior looks really good. The black leather seats, they do look original, which is fantastic. I can just kind of see how soft they look there. We can also see that we have the tilt column. I have tilt column in my 65 as well, and it's a nice feature. It's estimated that 10%, give or take, of the cars had tilt column. Again, we do not have access to those records because of a fire many years ago, but I can tell you, you don't see it very often. I'd be curious to see if it works. Mine works in my car. I think I had to reconnect one of the vacuum lines that had fallen off, if I remember correctly. It was something very minor in my car, at least. But we can also see it has the Autronic Eye, which is the automatic headlight dimmer. If you've ever seen that in the 1 through the 5, so 61 through 1965, that sits on the dash in those model years. We also can see that it is an air-conditioned car, which is nice. Here's another photo. Again, not much movement here with the photo, but what I will tell you is the interior does look good. It looks like it has a factory driver's side floor mat. Of course, the passenger side is going to be a piece of carpet that someone's cut, it appears. We can also see here the rear looks good. I would want to kind of look in this area to kind of see how all this looks, but so far it looks like a solid car from what we can see. What we see here on the dash is 74,487 miles. We also see that, again, here, this is only on the tilt column car. So if you do not have a tilt column, this will just be a different plate here, and there will be no vertical line. We can also see a crack in the oil filter lens, if you will. I do believe those are plastic. Pretty certain that they're plastic. I've kind of cleaned mine, taken the dash apart before, but that would be something that you would want to replace, of course. We can also see here on the right that it has the speed control, which we often refer to now as cruise control. So that is an option as well. So this car is highly optioned. We can also see, it appears to me, that this is an AM/FM radio. It is kind of hard to see. The photo's a little blurry. We'll look at the other photo. But the AM/FM radio, for those that don't know, was an option, and it's pretty rare as well. We can see it also has the nameplate here, probably the original, and those were given out to the original purchasers of said vehicle from those dealerships back in 1964, 1965, if you will. Here, what we can tell is, of course, the original MEL 430, which is the Mercury Edsel Lincoln, is what MEL stands for. It does have the battery box, which is great. These are often discarded over the course of time. We also see that it has a single pot reservoir. I've talked at lengths about the importance, in my opinion, of upgrading that to a dual master cylinder. We also can see here that it has the emission piece here, which is California only. So that is a positive thing. If this was a California car, the seller would want to promote that. If we had access to the VIN plate or the door plate, we'd be able to see the DSO, or the Destination Sales Office, and that would give us a little bit of insight to where the existence of this car began, right? So, of course, the car could have been sold in California, and then 5 years later, it could have been sold and shipped, across the country. Absolutely. But again, the thing that I've reinforced over the course of time is if you have a car that you're looking to sell or you're looking to purchase and it has California origins, or it spent most of its existence in said place, that is a good thing, and that's something that you would want to promote. Now, if we go down here, again, we can look at, yeah, so when you kind of zoom in, it's kind of hard to tell, but it does appear to me as an AM FM radio. I'm pretty certain, because I'll do another video in the future, but basically in the middle, you've got this little deal that kind of goes from AM to FM as you switch between the two bands. So that's pretty cool. But that is all we have. So 28,900. Now, is it worth that? Let's take a look at Haggerty really quick. I'm already logged in today, and we can see these are the sedan prices. Now, keep in mind 10% plus, or give or take 10% for factory air condition, which it does have. And one thing I wanted to look at, I don't know if I pointed that out here doing this review. You can see right here that it has the air conditioning compressor. Now, does the AC work? There's a lot to be desired in the description of this, okay? These are the questions you want to ask. Do the windows work? Okay, just in general. There's, of course, not just four, there's six. You have the vent windows, right? Are the vent windows working? Is the air conditioning working? Can we get some photos underneath this car to take a look at the floor pans and things like that? Those are key things. What other things are or are not working on the car? Those are things you want to ask about. The 65 Lincoln Continental, again, according to Haggerty, $54,500 for a concourse sedan. And then on the low side of things, fair would be $14,700. So this car is currently priced just under the $29,400 that Haggerty has listed for good condition. So I think they priced it very fairly. What it really comes down to is, do you think it's worth that much? Certainly as a potential buyer, or just as an enthusiast in general, I would love to hear from you. In my opinion, the car, it's going to depend on a few things. Does the AC work? Let's say it doesn't, right? A lot of times people are like, oh, you probably just have to, charge the air conditioning. It's usually not that easy, because hear me out. If it was that easy, folks would typically go down and have the local mechanic or a garage, if you will, charge it. And, it's typically just not that simple. But again, if somebody came back, the seller on this listing, and they said, hey, the air condition works, it blows ice cold, here's some photos underneath it, there's absolutely no rust, it's kind of this original, more of a survivor car, maybe the vinyl roof hasn't ever been changed at all, the material there, if there's no rusting around that rear glass, and you'd have to kind of get in there a little bit and kind of see if there's any crunchiness. I had a 67 that had plenty of crunchiness around that rear window, so I know. But certainly, if everything checked out and you were to say, hey, ODB, the price that they're asking really isn't unreasonable. But again, we would want to investigate. We want to know, hey, has this car been repainted? Approximately when? Tell us a little bit more about it. But certainly what I've seen from the trunk looks fantastic. It's a highly optioned car. The interior looks very, very nice for its age. Again, a 60-year-old car, give or take. Pretty solid overall. So let me know what you think, and I appreciate all the support. If you want to buy stickers, I've got one here that you can kind of half see. And there you can see the whole thing. I've got white and blue stickers available at lincolnaddict.com. Order some stickers if you want to show some love. You can give a thanks or super thanks here via the channel. And I'm going to continue to do more on the member side. So if you want to become a member, consider joining here on YouTube. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all the support, and stay on the rise. ODB, I'm out of here.